So I'm here, and definitely didn't expect to be back. As you can see, I'm way ahead of where I was before, and I've been playing quite a bit in my off time. Ooh, my throat hurts. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I went down here already, and there was dragons, little baby dragons, and they're a little difficult for me to kill. So I think I'm not quite leveled enough to fight them, and I think the way that I'm supposed to go is this way. Compared to the last time that I played, or that I streamed, I beat the Bell Gargoyles and I beat the Moth boss. Whatever it was called. I forget what it was called. And I think that was it. And then I came here and I fought this guy up here. I fought the dragons at the bottom of that elevator, the drakes. And I came here to fight this dude. See, my souls are still there. And I died a couple times on this guy, and that was basically all I did last. Which, you know, should tell you that I've been playing quite a bit, though, even though it doesn't seem like a lot. That should tell you everything you need to know about what I've been doing off camera. And I'm not going to say that I'm good at this game now, because I'm not, but I'm definitely not quite as hopeless as I was. So I'm glad, you'll be glad to hear that. Hopefully I won't be raging too much at this game. I took no damage there somehow. I found that when I was not having to stream and talk at the same time and play the game at the same time, I was much better at focusing on what I was doing and didn't rage nearly as much, although I still kind of did, especially on the Bell Gargoyles. Really, fighting the Bell Gargoyles was so difficult and time-consuming that everything else kind of is almost mundane by comparison to that now. And I don't exactly think that's what they were going for. At the end of it all, I ended up having to use a summon in order to kill the Bell Gargoyles, which is something that I found online because I just got so frustrated. I looked up a walkthrough and they were like, yeah, you know, you can kill the Bell Gargoyles yourself, but I think the intended path is to you summon that knight guy, which I then had to figure out how to do, and then eventually do it. And once I did that, once I summoned, I think his name is Solaire, the gargoyles were a piece of cake. Like it took zero effort to kill them once I summoned Solaire. And that was after probably a good, like, I'm not kidding, I probably fought the Bell Gargoyles 30 times. And not just, I'm talking about like 30 good tries. You know, 30 tries that were, you know, up to a minute long each. And 30, I would say 30 would be a conservative estimate for how many times I fought. I mean, it was absolutely insane. And then eventually I just had to summon Solaire, and it was a piece of cake. It took no effort at all, which was strange because I guess that was what you're sort of intended to do. I also killed that stone boss demon thing. Between the blacksmith and the forest. I forget what the forest is called. I fought that thing and killed it. which took some effort, but I had to level up my weapon. The weapon that I'm currently using, I had to level that up, and that's how I was able to kill it. It seemed pretty obvious to me that that was what they wanted us to do because the blacksmith was right in front of them, and I was just like, well, I would be shocked if... Okay. I would be shocked if that's not the intent, was to essentially force you to level up your weapon. So that's what I did. Now my weapon is really strong, and at least it was against that boss. I don't actually know how strong it really is. It's stronger than it was, is all I really know. I leveled it up like 5 times or something. Like I used all of my Titanite shards on it, which I'm now kind of maybe regretting a little bit because I didn't realize that those were kind of rare. So I used probably way too many of those to upgrade one weapon. But it's what I needed. That was the only way I could beat that. I forget what the name of it was. That something demon. Rock demon thing. And this boss up here, I have yet to face, so this is all pretty new. I've killed these guys before, but this boss, I don't know. I have yet to really figure out how to kill this boss up here. Okay, and maybe these guys too. The game has definitely gotten easier at this point. I think especially because I leveled up my weapon. It's amazing how, you know, I had seen quite a few videos of people online saying that Dark Souls wasn't as hard as people said it was, and I found that so incredibly offensive. But now I'm starting to understand why they say that, because once you kind of get into the rhythm of knowing what the game wants from you, it does get easier. I wouldn't say, though, it's still very easy to make careless mistakes. So I wouldn't say that I'm calm exactly. Like that for instance, that was a careless mistake. There's still skill involved, even though it's not quite as frustrating as it was. I'm sure it'll probably get there, though, at some point. It's not a piece of cake either, exactly. I also, like I said, I fought that butterfly boss, which the strategy for that boss was... There was no strategy. I actually found that boss pretty difficult. I probably took more than 10 tries. Everybody says that boss is super easy. I'm guessing most of them probably were a little bit higher level, though. And I also still haven't figured out how to use a bow and arrow or any ranged weapons yet. So I just had to wait for that thing to... You have to wait for it to get close. The Moonlight Butterfly, I think is what it was called. You have to kind of wait for it to get in close to you and then hit it when it gets close, like a Nintendo boss. And it wasn't anywhere near as difficult as the Bell Gargoyles, but it still was a little frustrating. It took a little bit of time. I don't know if this thing up here is a boss, though. Am I safe here? Yeah. Actually, did I take any damage? No, I didn't take any damage. I don't think. Oh, yeah, never mind. I did. Why am I taking damage even though I'm behind cover? What's the point of the cover? I shouldn't have killed all those enemies. I don't know what I was thinking. I should be learning by now. Can I swim in the water? Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm picking my nose on camera. I forgot you could see me. Hi, it's me. I look terrible, I know. And I do. I do look terrible. I'm going the wrong way. I might as well show this off, though. The last time I was here, I went down and I fought one of the drakes, and it just flew off a cliff and killed itself. So I got the souls. Got the souls straight from that. But then I think the next one killed me. I think these enemies are a little too high level for me right now. My throat hurts. Do I have COVID? It's been hurting for a while. These guys. This guy, he just flew off a cliff. Killed himself. Ouch. There's only so much commentary you can do. See, look at how much health he has. How am I supposed to kill this guy? He's got so much health. Oh, yeah. Oh, I heard him. Ouch. There's only 3 of them? That's not that many. And if my voice keeps hurting like this, I'm going to have to end the recording early. So, how's everybody doing? I just watched Free Guy with my family. It's pretty good. I liked it. It was very fun. It was very fun. It was a nice, fun, energetic movie. I liked it quite a bit. It felt genuine in a way that I feel like I haven't seen in a while from Hollywood. Feels like a lot of the movies that have been coming out have been pretty paint by numbers. I don't know what that is. Does that mean I can go in the water? I thought I died last... Whoa! Are you a boss or not? Uh-oh. Holy crap. Man, that's terrifying. I might need to take some, like, Tylenol or something for my throat. I wonder if that would give me any negative side effects. You guys sit tight. Yo, what up? So, you guys... I just went up the stairs. What do you guys think about my wall behind me? I've been thinking about, if I'm going to keep streaming like this on the reg, I should put up some kind of decorations or something. because as it stands right now, it kind of looks like I'm in like a jail cell or something. Or not a jail cell, but like a dungeon or hotel room or interrogation room. It's not very comfy, is what I'm trying to say. It's not, well, actually, I was going to say the room itself isn't that bad, but it's not the best room in the house. It's not really decorated at all. There's a couple of pictures on the wall, but that's about it. And I want to know what I could decorate the background with. As it stands right now, I'm being lit from above by just a yellow light bulb. And it's not exactly flattering. It's not flattering lighting. It's not flattering. It's not a cozy environment at all. But I also don't know. Ooh, what am I doing? Am I just gonna go right back to the way I was? I think maybe. I think we might be seeing that. I don't want that to happen. My throat really hurts, guys. It hurts to talk. I didn't realize it would until I started. Hopefully the Tylenol kicks in quick so I can do this for longer. Oh no! No, 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 no! Oh, I can swim. Sweet. Well. Oh. Okay. I don't know what to do about that. So do we have to use a ranged weapon, or do we have to somehow find a way to get in close? By the way, I got a new camera. I got a HD camera for you that I can use, and I haven't set it up yet. Got it as a gift for Christmas. I haven't set it up yet. I'm a little afraid to, because like everything already looks bad enough on this camera that I'm a little afraid, because it's like a nice HD camera. Okay. I think it looks like there's just a cliff there. So I'm actually not sure what to do. Does that mean we have to go to the Valley of Drakes or whatever? I have no way of knowing how to beat that boss. So we're gonna go this way. Can they see me? I can see them. Can they see me? I was trying to salute him. Oh, there's more than 3. Maybe I can just run past. That is not realistic. Great, cool. I have stuff. Hey, I have that stuff forever now. I think. Right? I would love to be able to tell which way I can go. Both ways look the same. By the way, I don't know if the sore throat is coronavirus related or not. I probably could get tested. I've never thought of that before. I've never thought that I could test myself for coronavirus. Every time since coronavirus started, I haven't been sick the whole time. At least I don't think so, apart from allergies. Every time I get any allergies or any of that stuff, though, I'm immediately like, I have COVID. I'm going to die. I'm sure most of you can relate to that feeling. I think there was a ladder and I missed it. Ooh, yeah. I'm safe here. Are they climbing? No, they're flying. Go, 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 go. Yeah. I got some jewelry. Where do I go now? No. Oh, they're just down there. Oh, there's a cliff over there. Okay. I mean, how do I go down fast? I'm alive. What? It's fine. It's fine. Wrong way. take it. Hey, you do that too. Yeah, do that too. I like that. Show me that move again. I want to see the movie. Excuse me? This is starting to get its old feeling back. I'm gonna run off that edge. I'm starting to feel uncomfortable in here. You ever get that feeling where there's just like too many things happening? There's too many like uncomfortable, like it's too warm in here, man. That's been something that I've been kind of dealing with more lately, is that sort of thing. Because I think when I was like growing up, it was always, get used to it. You don't like the cold, get used to it. You don't like the heat, get used to it. That kind of thing. But if I get irritable, then it makes it worse. Right? So I always think, or more recently I've been thinking, well, okay, I should deal with it. Like if it's too hot in here, I just took my socks off. I found that taking my socks off helps a lot with the heat. Just because I lose a lot of heat through my feet for some reason. And then normally when I'm in here, if it gets even hotter, I take my shirt off, but I don't want to do that now. Although normally I would. It's actually hot enough in here that I pretty much have to take my shirt off in order to feel comfortable at all. So at some point I might just like tilt the camera up and then do that if it gets unbearable, which could be any second now actually. But I've always been bad at that. If I go somewhere, you have your little comfort zone, and for me, my specific comfort zone usually has a very specific temperature that I want it to be at. Like in here, it's way too warm. I don't know what exact temperature it is. But out there, I usually keep it about 70 degrees. Like that's when I usually feel the most comfortable, because it's like a little bit more cold, and you can usually just put on a blanket or something if it's too cold, and that works really well for me. I have trouble when it gets too hot. For me, I usually don't get too irritable if it's a little chilly. But if it's a little warm, it makes me want to kill somebody. So, I don't know what to do about that. And, ooh, I have a, oh. Because when I go out places, you know, I frequently go from having a good time to having a terrible time, and I never really know why. And so because I'm trying to not be as much of a recluse, lately, that thing's alive, right? Okay, they died over there. That's really helpful. Yep, that's something. Oh, no, that doesn't look alive at all. Something died. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I won't do that. But if I go somewhere and it's too hot, I hate it there, no matter where it is. And I wish that wasn't the case. And I don't know how to fix that. But I've always been like this. Or at least, you know, in recent memory, I've always been like this. For some reason, it doesn't bother me as much if I'm outside. Like if it's hot because I'm outside. But if I'm in a building, it usually is just like it's stuffy or something. But it always feels like I'm the most sensitive person to this stuff. And I used to feel kind of gaslit by people because I was so sensitive that people would notice. And particularly if a place is too loud. Sorry, my eyes are burning. I don't know why. Oh. And so because that has been such an annoying problem with me for so long, I'm like, I gotta figure out a way to fix this. I gotta figure out a way to make. And I think a big part of the problem is that I've been too afraid to speak up. What did that say? Hold on. I did it. Did what? Is I've just been too afraid to speak up. Like if it's too cold, I'm like, I don't want to be the person that's like, it's too cold in here. Oh Lord. What's your guys' level like? I have no clue. Okay, maybe not too bad. But I would prefer to fight them one at a time. Would very much prefer to fight them one at a time. Help. Whoops. Whoa, what was that? That's not the back, my friend. That's the booty hole. That was a booty hole stab. It was unethical. Poisoned. How did they poison me? Was I just too close to them? Got their stank on me? Oh no, am I dead? No, I'm not dead. I'm dead. Wow. Okay, the suckage comes back. I wasn't expecting this. I don't know. Maybe the lake is the way. Maybe the lake is. Oh, it's the other way. I've heard that if you spend more time in, like, whatever you call it, like if I wanted to get, I could get used to warm environments if I went and like lived in Hawaii or something. That over time, like, you get used to that. I got armor. Oh. Maybe I should put on the armor. You think the armor helps? I think that's what we just picked up. Look at us. Okay, I should have put this on later. But we styling, yo. Look at that. Anyway, but I hate being the guy that's like uncomfortable in the group, you know? But I'm prone to it for some reason. Particularly like warm. It feels like everywhere I go is like it's warm and it's loud. I hate loud places almost as much as I hate warm places. And that's essentially, you know, that's mindfulness training in a sense. Is just knowing, where am I going? What am I doing? I have no plan. What's my plan? I have no plan. I hurt him. I don't know how to do it again, though, other than to get him to lunge. Okay, we need to heal. Please don't die. Shoot. guess I could drink some of this stuff. I don't like drinking on camera. I feel like such a fat loser sometimes. Ugh. That's not what I wanted. It's okay being a fat loser. There are worse things in the world. I also just think that, like, going out in general isn't something that, you know, part of the reason why I don't really do that is because, like, I genuinely had a hard time enjoying myself at a lot of the places that I've gone and the things that I've done since I was an adult. It kind of seemed like when I was younger, I just kind of got something out of going places, but the older that I got, the more that, like, novelty kind of wore off, and I kind of stopped getting something out of, like, going out with my friends and, you know, doing that kind of stuff. And it doesn't help that I went to a very, very Christian college, so there, you know, when you're in a group like that from a very, very Christian college, there's really no fun to be had. You know, they don't know how to have fun. And I would go out with my friends because I knew that I was supposed to. You know, I'm like, these people are my friends. I'm supposed to enjoy going out with them. I never did. Never. Well, I shouldn't say never. Rarely. And it wasn't like I hated them, but you need something else. By the time you get to be an adult, like, you need something else. That's why people drink when they go out with their friends. That's why people get, you know, plastered drunk when they go out with their friends. And I'm not advocating for that, but that's why they do it. Because going out with your friends is actually not fun by itself. So you have to get plastered drunk in order to enjoy it. That's why people do that. I that's my theory, anyway, as to why people do that. Because it's the only... How else are you going to enjoy that? There's nothing fun about going out with your friends. You know? It doesn't matter how much you like those people. You can like them from a distance. Every once in a while, you'll get the rare moment where you go out with your friends and it's all fun, regardless of what goes on. But that's pretty rare. I remember, you know, growing up with people in a super Christian environment. There was always people who would say things like I remember hearing a story about a guy who had a party with his coworkers, and he was a, you know, fundamental Baptist Christian guy, and he brought all of his coworkers over, and he told a story about how there was no alcohol there. There was no nothing. There was no. I think he even said that there was going to be like no physical contact between the guys and the girls. These are adults he's talking to. But that was just, he wanted it to be just sort of even though these were just his sort of secular coworkers, he wanted it to essentially be a Christian party, which is okay. And he said that they had a blast, and they played games. I don't think he said Pictionary or something, which can be very fun. I'm not knocking that. That can be super fun. Like those hoity-toity white people games can actually be very fun, very chaotic and hectic if you're playing with a good group. But that's the thing, is that like me and my friends, we never did that. We never did anything actually interesting like that. But that's the thing, is that he told this story, and he was like, the whole reason why he wanted to do that is because he wanted to show his friends that you could have fun without getting drunk, is what he said. Without drinking, without alcohol, without all of that typical like debauchery type stuff. Oh, I just died? I don't know how to beat this boss. Which is true. I mean, that is true. You can. But I thought it was interesting that he mentioned that they only ever did it once. As I was thinking about, because I was thinking about that recently, I was like, yeah, you did it one time. You did it one time. If it was so much fun, why did you only do it one time? And I think that's important. And that's probably the reason why, people invented. I mean, alcohol is obviously a drug, and it's obviously has a certain amount of danger to it. Maybe more than people are willing to admit. But you have to know that's why they do it. That's why it was something that was, I don't want to say necessary, but you can see why, you can see where that came from. Because it's, for some reason, people need that in order to enjoy themselves when they go out. And I'm not advocating for that. I'm not advocating for that lifestyle. If you want to do it, that's fine. I'm not talking down on it either. But there are some dangers involved, and not everybody's responsible enough to really live that way. But they usually don't think there's a problem when they no one's ever willing to admit it if they are that kind of person. If they have a problem with it, they almost never know. I'm stuck. I'm dead. The point is that it usually takes a lot for people to have fun when they're outside of their comfort zone. I think. At least for me, it is. And if you want me to leave my comfort zone, it usually has to be a pretty special occasion. There's got to be something special. So, but that's just me. I think some people genuinely have like a massive amount of fun when they do anything. But I am not one of those people. It takes a lot. It takes a lot for me to enjoy myself. So that's kind of why I never, kind of why I started becoming a recluse, was just because of that. Couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I can't live like this anymore, because I kept going out with my friends and doing stuff because people wanted me to, for my mental health. They wanted me to. They were like, you need to get out of the house and you need to do something. And so, for your mental health. So I got into the habit of going out, and I was way worse. It made me so much worse. um, I was way... It had the complete opposite effect of what they wanted. It made my mental health way worse to go out. And it was just... I don't even really... I couldn't even tell you why. I'm dead again. No way, dude. I thought we were going to be able to do this. I went through all that effort to kill those guys. Do I need to level up again? I'm in the wrong place. But, you know, the fact of the matter is that it's not like I hated my friends or that, you know, my friend group sucked or anything like that. I just, you know, it just, for some reason, it just was never enough. It was never enough for me to really enjoy myself as much as I wanted to. So eventually I just kind of stopped going out. And I haven't looked back since. And honestly, like, I've lost touch with pretty much all those friends because of that. I tried. There's a handful of people that I try to keep in touch with, and that's just kind of adult life. You just kind of reach out to them every once in a while, and that's usually enough, you know, as long as you do it periodically. It's usually enough to keep people, like, just like periodically remind your close friends that you exist. Is pretty much what I do these days. And it's not because I want anything from them. It's just, you know, that's what I enjoy doing now. At the time, going out with my friends every weekend was, I mean, it was tedious. It was actually tedious. It wasn't fun at all. It was the opposite of fun. It was tedious. It was a chore. And now, you know, I think I have a healthier relationship with myself, where it's like, well, you know what, just because your mental health people are telling you to do something for your mental health doesn't actually mean they know what they're talking about. You know, like because it was definitely making me worse. Because I was trying to figure out, like, why do I feel bad? You know, when I go out and do social things in social settings, it makes me feel worse. Like, why is that the case? But because that's not the way that humans are supposed to work, right? Well, it's actually kind of more complicated than that. It has to be quality time. And there were times, you know, there were some times where I would go out with my friends, and usually if it was like, if I would go with someone somewhere and then have like a really like good conversation with that person, then I would enjoy it. But that was kind of rarer. Usually when I would go out with my friends, we would just do something ridiculous. And that was fun maybe the first 2 or 3 times. And then after that, it became, in my mind, it was more maintenance than anything. Because I was just doing what people told me to, right? You have to be social so that you can be happier. But it didn't work. And I don't totally know why. The time didn't feel like quality time. It felt like a chore. And I didn't leave the situation feeling refreshed, which was interesting because a couple days ago I went into a job connection place with the Goodwill at the Goodwill, close to my house, and I was only there for a few minutes, and I had an awkward conversation with the woman who was there. She did her best, you know. Her customer service was good. It was fine. But I felt like it was kind of an awkward conversation, as people do. People just have, I don't blame anybody anymore for these interactions. But I left feeling good. I left, even though it was, by all accounts, a terrible conversation. I left feeling good, and I left feeling refreshed and energized. And I couldn't tell you what the difference was. This awkward conversation that I had with this complete stranger left me feeling refreshed and energized, but going out with my friends in the past felt like a absolute chore and just like an exercise in tedium. And I'm starting to recognize now, I guess the kinds of stuff that I enjoy is going to take some trial and error, Maybe if I didn't enjoy going out with my friends, maybe I should have tried a couple different things instead of just doing it over and over again, expecting a different result. Maybe I should have been doing more trial and error. And that epiphany is just now coming to me. It's completely brand new. It's sort of a brand new breakthrough. Because I always just kind of thought there was something wrong with me. I should be enjoying. I'm going out with my friends. People love this. People love going out with their friends. They work all week long so that at the end of the week they can go out with their friends. And here I am going out with my friends, and the whole time I'm wishing I was at home instead. I'm like, man, I'm talking the whole time. I'm like, man, I really wish I was at home. Even if, we're talking, we're laughing, we're joking around, it looks like we're having fun. From an outsider's perspective, I usually still felt like, I would still kind of rather be at home right now. Part of that was due to just generally being general discomfort. I have trouble with sensory issues sometimes. I don't know how much of that is ADHD and how much of that is just regular human stuff. But I tend to be pretty sensitive when I go places that are noisy, when I go places that are warm and hot and stuffy, and there's not a lot of air movement, which is pretty much everywhere when you go out with your buddies, And it's, once you've been to a million crowded, noisy, smelly places that are a little too hot, a little too sticky and itchy and all of that stuff, once you've been to one too many of those places, you end up like me. You end up as a hermit. And after all of that, I'm like, you know what? I understand why people feel the need to get absolutely smashed with alcohol when they go out with their friends. Of course they do. That's the only way they can get through it and get beyond the discomfort and actually enjoy themselves, because it's not enjoyable. And again, I'm not necessarily advocating for that, but I think that is the reason why people do that. Look, I updated my shield. Because going out sucks without it. And of course they get absolutely sloppy drunk. And I don't think that's the way that it's supposed to be, though, is the thing. I don't think humans were necessarily meant to live like that, because alcohol is dangerous. It slowly poisons your body just like any other chemical does. And I'm not saying this isn't like an after-school PSA or anything like that. It's also not the worst thing in the world either.
It's not heroin. It's not crystal meth. But it is a pretty potent substance. What am I doing? I don't have a clue how to beat this stupid snake. Oh, I blocked him! Now I do. Okay, it didn't work that time. That's fine. It was my fault, really. More than anything else. That was a me issue. But I think that at the end of the day, it's about, like, I'm learning how to pursue things that I actually enjoy doing, and going out with my buddies to loud, crowded places is just not one of those things. I hate doing that. But that's something that's kind of expected of you if you're like a young person in their prime, quote quote. That's kind of what you're expected to do, and I just don't think you can do that without alcohol involved, which is dangerous, And I don't think that would go over particularly well with my parents either. I thought there might be a secret cave or something over here. I actually think there still might be. That might be the thing I'm supposed to do. But there's other things, That's another thing that I'm coming to grips with too, is that there's other things to do that are enjoyable beyond Sorry, I thought I heard something. That are enjoyable beyond just, what's that noise? Is that me? Is that my footsteps? Yeah, it is. Nice going. Beyond going out and doing whatever it was. Because I would go out with my friends and we never really had an itinerary. It was usually like, let's just go from restaurant to restaurant and let's go downtown and do what everybody else does, but without the substance ingestion. So like we wouldn't go to bars, we wouldn't go to clubs, but we would go to like restaurants and we'd get food there, and we would stay a little too long and I would be sick of it, and then we would go out on the street and we'd walk around and we'd look at all the little shops, and that was sometimes that was cool and that was kind of interesting, but usually not really. And especially if we went into a shop, I have this weird mental thing where if I go into a shop, I never want to buy anything, and that's my fault, because I always think like, okay, can we move on, please? Can we go to the next shop? But I should be thinking like, what? Why don't I just buy something? I would probably love to buy something here, but for some reason I never think of that. I never think like, oh man, it would be great to. I went with my friends to Dollywood, or sorry, no, I took two of my friends and we went to Gatlinburg, or they took me really. And I think it was maybe the first day there, we went to a bunch of different shops, and I like exploring places, so that part is enjoyable. But if we spent like a little bit too much, every time I've ever went with any of my friends anywhere that involved shopping, if we spent too much time in any one store, I would start to get really antsy. Like really antsy, because I was there, in my mind, I was there to look at stuff. So once I'm done looking at everything, I'm done. I want to move on to another shop. Plus, I have ADHD too, so that's also that. Keep that in mind. But I think the difference is that these other people that I was with, they were there to buy things. They are also looking at the merchandise, but they were there to buy something. And I don't think that way for some reason, and I need to start thinking that way. I think it's just because I've never really had very much money. I've never been a spender because I rarely have money to spend. There were different points in my life where I had cash, just like from jobs and stuff, just like laying around, but usually not, because I've always been too lazy to work. Up until recently, especially if you count this, because this feels like work sometimes. I don't just mean Dark Souls, I mean streaming in general. No, I came all this way. But that's the key difference between like why I was there and why they were there, and probably the reason why they were enjoying themselves more than I was. And who's to say that they weren't miserable too? They might have been. They might have been just as miserable as me. See, there's a ladder there. Maybe I'm the first one to figure this out, but that's. I need to start thinking of, because like that's kind of been my mistake, is that when I go places, people tell me like, you need to go out, you need to do this, it's good for your mental health. And to an extent, it sometimes is helpful for me. And I can't always be, going out and getting fresh air and getting sunshine and that kind of stuff can be super helpful, depending on the day. But, why do I get stuck on that? Do I have to kill all these guys? But I always treated my own like enjoyment of a thing, particularly like an outing of some kind. I always expected the enjoyment to sort of come to me. When I didn't realize that like in going out with your friends and enjoying it has to be an active process. And it's not that, I don't consider myself to be an especially awkward person. So it's not like I have these like social anxieties. Like sometimes I do have social anxiety. But I feel like of all the people that I know, I'm one of the better talkers, I think, probably. Just based on, I don't know. I certainly talk the most, at the very least. I think I'm one of the better talkers. I've been talking nonstop for an hour and 9 minutes. I think it's somewhat interesting, at least. I hope so. So that's not the problem. I can have a conversation with almost anyone. So it's and that's a skill that I've developed over my life. Because there was a time where I was extremely awkward and bad at social environments. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. This part in particular. I think I need to turn around and block the shot and then run to the ladder, maybe. So I can have a conversation with just about anybody. Even if that person is openly hostile to me and is just being an a-hole, I can still usually disarm that person. And, even if I can have a conversation with somebody that I hate, relatively easily. As long as they haven't like really pissed me off. So that's not, you know, that's not the problem. So when it comes down to like me being with my friends and not really having the best like quality time, it's not that. It's not their fault. You know, it's not my friend's fault necessarily. I think my armor is really hindering me here. Whoa. That guy followed me? What a loser. I don't know what to do about this, man. I'm alive! I'm not. I thought I was alive. You know, and I can have a conversation with people and I can learn, you know, learn things that I didn't know and be introduced to new interests that I had no idea existed. It just always felt like whenever I went out with my friends, usually I would get bored way before everybody else. And it's kind of sad, I guess. You know, because that could just be ADHD to the point where, you know, maybe I'll never be able to fix that, at least not without medication, which I am taking. I'm not sure how well it's working. Maybe it is. It feels like maybe it's helping. Whoa. But at the end of the day, it might literally just be that I, you know, just don't enjoy it. People, you know, different people enjoy different things, and you know, usually going out with my buddies was not quite as stimulating as I always wanted it to be. I always wanted it to be more. It always felt like it wasn't enough for whatever reason, and I couldn't tell you why exactly. But I don't, you know, it's not their fault. But like I said, it's the reason why people take substances when they do that kind of thing, because they want to go out, have fun. I also, you know, I always hate being the first person to leave a party. It's one thing if you're the first guy to show up or the last one to show up, but I hate being the first person to leave. That feels awful. And what's weird is that it's usually like a... Hold on. Sometimes I feel like I can't. Like physically. Like I'm not being held hostage or anything. It just feels like... almost like I'm stuck to the ground. Even if I want to leave, you know. Sometimes it just feels like I'm stuck to the ground. Can't go. And that's not a particularly good feeling. I'm really having a lot of trouble with this snake thing. How do I beat the snake thing? It blows at you, but there's too many heads. But my main problem was always, I think I'm now realizing, was that I wasn't taking myself seriously enough. I wasn't taking my own feelings seriously enough, which I guess is sort of the main tenet of mindfulness, is sort of just like taking your own feelings seriously. And if I was to take my own feelings seriously, then I would not. Well, I stopped going out. The moment that I started taking my feelings seriously, I stopped going out, because it's just like, you know what? I don't enjoy doing this anymore. I think that I can't remember when the last time that I actually hung out with my friends was, like, in person. I think it was a wedding. My friend Ben got married. And I think that was the last time that I saw all my friends in person. And I actually enjoyed, that was one of the rare times where I actually enjoyed it. And I know that I enjoyed it because I remember going home that day and thinking that I was glad that I had gone out. I rarely go out and then come back feeling better than when I left. For me, that's how I know that the excursion, whatever it was successful, was if I feel better when I get back. And if I don't feel better when I get back, then to me it feels like it was a waste. It's like I could have just stayed home instead. And that last time was, I think, the only time that I can remember where, at least in recent years, I went and just hung out with my group of friends from college, and then came home feeling like, yeah, I feel better now than when I left, or I feel better now than I would if I had just stayed home. Because I'm usually kind of stressed out whenever I leave and go places anyway. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, like, I feel, I would go out, come back, I feel better than I would have had I stayed home. And that's super rare. What just happened to me? That's super rare for me to feel like that. So, and I couldn't tell you why. Couldn't tell you why. Couldn't tell you what the difference was. But it was a good time. It was genuinely a good time. Usually when I go out, I just feel like, well, that's over with, glad that's over. Even though it's, like I said, it's usually a chore. I don't know why. I can't explain why. And I remember telling my first therapist that, and she was like, "It sounds like you need better friends." And I was like, I don't really think it's their fault, though, is the thing. I don't think it's their fault. They're fine. Just nothing wrong with them. Just a little bit antisocial, I guess. Which is not a great feeling, knowing that you're sort of antisocial. I think part of it, too, is that, like, by the time you become an adult, I'm like, do other adults really enjoy those kinds of social situations? I almost don't even know that. it feels like once you become an adult, it feels like in order to enjoy something social, it almost has to be, I'm so dead. It almost has to be a product of something else, you know? Like you go out with your coworkers for the first time, you know? So there's some kind of novelty to it. It's like, I've never been out with my coworkers before. This is the first time ever. Or it's been a year. It's been a year and a half. Then it's enjoyable. But for me, it's like, you know, I was going out with my buddies, like, and I had a pretty big group of buddies, by the way. There was like 20 of them at least, if not 40. Different people that would get involved in some of these excursions. Usually, the more people there were, usually the better it was. But I just kept sort of looking for the perfect outing, and it just never really happened. And I couldn't really tell you why that particular wedding was better than... Because I've been to multiple weddings before, and they're not always fun. Sometimes they're fun, sometimes they're not, really. And you've been to weddings, you know. Woo! Run. No. Yeah, he's got me. Maybe I gotta lead him over here and then run over to the ladder. I might have to look up a walkthrough on this, man. I hate using a walkthrough, but sometimes it just feels like you have no choice. I have no idea how to get past this stupid thing. How do I get... Where do I go? What? There we go. What's even the... Oh, you have to kill him. He's a mini-boss? He's not even a boss, he's a mini-boss?
It's kind of hard to see, you don't want to fall to your death. But get kind of close to it, hold your shield up and block, and wait for the Hydras to attack, and then try and cut off one of their heads, and rinse and repeat. This fight is much easier if you have some sort of range, as you can just range into the Hydra in between attacks, but if you're melee only, it can take a little bit of time, because the heads don't always strike right next to you, so sometimes you need to move over to them, and because there's water in the way, it can prevent you from getting there in time. One of the things that can make this fight considerably easier is if you've returned to the Undead Asylum already, you can use the Rusted Iron Ring in order to move faster in water, which makes this a lot better.
If you return from the undead asylum... I've heard of this. I've heard of the undead asylum. So does that mean we should... Well, okay, let's try to kill the Hydra first. Before we go there. I'm curious if anybody else has had this kind of journey, because, you know, for me it was a massive test, I think, and it took me too long to figure out the results, which just was, you know, I'm not enjoying this, you know. And once I figured out that I wasn't enjoying it, I just kind of stopped doing it. People are like, well, how come you don't go out with your friends anymore? How come you don't go out anymore? How come you don't do stuff? And I'm just like, well, you know, I didn't like it, and now I have nothing to replace it with. If I had, you know, it's all of my hobbies are things I can do here. This being one of them. So it was never something that I never felt compelled to go out and do stuff. You know, I was never really a sports guy, for one thing. When I was a kid, I was terrible at sports, and I probably still am. So, like, that's one thing that could get me out of the house, maybe. I've been thinking about getting into hiking lately. I always thought that I hated hiking, but I've been watching those YouTube videos of the mission across Wales, you know, the guy that crosses Wales in a straight line. And I was watching that, and I was like, you know what? I want to do that. I want to do that so badly. And I realized that I liked hiking, but there was no challenge to it. Hiking itself is boring because there's no real challenge. Unless you're fat and out of shape like me, there might be some challenge in that. But you know, there's definitely no mental challenge to it. And he sort of exemplified, you know, cross-country hiking looks way more fun to me than hiking on a path. Even though it also kind of looks miserable at the same time. If you play your cards right, you could have a blast doing that. Stupid thing. You know, and I like nature. But for me, I always thought that hiking was perhaps the worst way to experience nature, because you're miserable the whole time, for one thing, even though like the expelling of energy can be super cathartic, and exercise is, generally speaking, you know, super cathartic and therapeutic and has a ton of benefits to it. So in that sense, hiking can be, but it's just not something that really appeals to me. You know, it doesn't appeal to me at all. Even though I know that, it doesn't make me really want to do it. Kill. Heal. Hello. I don't know what to do about that when he's that close. This is a mini boss. am I supposed to dodge that? How am I supposed to dodge that attack? He's literally like right in my face. Anyway, but there's a mental challenge in the cross country aspect to it, and that on top of that, you know, the cross country part, usually the best stuff is, you know, off the beaten path anyway. So that appeals to me a lot more than just like hiking on a path. So I think what I'm learning is that I'm into hiking, but I'm not into basic hiking. It has to be extreme hiking, which is probably not going to be good for my health, my body. But those videos are awesome, you know. And I recognize that he makes it look easy, but that just kind of makes me want to try it even more, honestly. But if you haven't seen those videos, you should definitely go and watch those videos because they're incredible. You're probably going to want to do it too. But for me, it was like, yeah, like I want to do that. Like, that looks awesome. I'm sure that it's probably not awesome the whole time. But if I can play Dark Souls, I can do that. Also be a great way to get into shape. Wow. Ooh, ooh. Yikes. Another thing that's interesting is that, you know, I like watching TV shows and things like that, and some of my favorite content to watch is conversational. Most of my favorite content to watch is conversational in nature, and that actually might be the reason why I don't like going out. Now that I think about it, because I'm already getting that, like I'm sort of like, if I didn't do, if the content that I was watching had nothing to do with that, then, you know, maybe I would enjoy going out more, because I'm getting that itch scratched through the content that I consume, and so maybe it makes that sort of social stuff just kind of superfluous, you know, like redundant, because the content that I'm already watching is already good enough or better, which is the reason why I watch it. You know, it feels like human interaction, you know, to an extent. I'm not talking to them. Forward is good. Forward is good. Forward is good. I don't want to lock onto that. Okay, what am I seeing? My vision. Okay, I'm getting hit by the heads. They're hitting me. That's not what the video showed. Video made it look like they were gonna miss. These guys are not missing. They are just hitting me. That's all they're doing. How am I supposed to get them to miss? I cut off one head. That's what it's supposed to look like. Okay. It got weirdly quiet. Maybe if I just like stand here, maybe they'll miss me every time. Yeah, maybe that is what happened. What happens? It's going to be tough. I can't see anything. There's too much dust. There's too much dust. I can't see. Gotcha. See, look, I'm actually accomplishing something. I think that's another thing, is when I'm out with my friends, I'm not accomplishing anything, usually. You know, I noticed that after playing this game and after playing, and after doing stuff in the job search sort of category, you know, to an extent, I enjoy accomplishing things. You know, sometimes it's not worth it. It's tedious. But I enjoy accomplishing things. Sometimes, you know, I can. Don't roll off the... And going out with your buddies is not exactly accomplishing things. Which is weird, because I didn't think I was that kind of person. I thought I was plenty capable of just, like, wasting time. But maybe not. But it's, you know, it's a weird exercise and trying to decide, like, what is it exactly that I want to do? What is it that I enjoy doing? It's weird to not know the answer. What do I enjoy doing? I don't know. I mean, I think that's pretty common, but also, like, it's kind of a journey, you know? How am I supposed to know what I enjoy doing? That was the worst, by the way. That guy hitting me out of the air like that, that was the worst. I am very unhappy that that happened. Excuse me. That was coming out of my stomach somehow. I got too much gas in there. Ah! Now what do I do? Haha. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. How did you stay alive? Why aren't you dying now? Help! I thought he would kill him. He's not killing him. Kill them, please. Please. Please kill them. I beg you. You grow up as a teenager thinking that, you know, the best thing... You go over to somebody's house, what do you want to do? You want to hang out with them, right? That's what you do when you're a teenager. You hang out with your friends. And you know what? I was probably tickled pink to do that when I was a kid. But for some reason, now that I'm an adult, I don't really want to do that anymore. I don't want to hang out with people anymore. I don't like it. Unless there's like something like genuinely special going on. Like a wedding, maybe. Why am I so slow? Hold on. Everybody sit tight. I have to change my clothes. No. Can I do this fast enough? Yeah. I'm dead.
Anyway, but let's be honest, most of us would rather just stay home.
But I forgot what I was talking about. You know, I watch like shows and things like that. And those can be so incredibly captivating, you know, right? The TV can be so fun to watch. Who knew? But some of those shows, like, you know, Game of Thrones or something like that, where people have conversations with each other, and me and my dad have been watching Lost lately. They can be so like they can be so engaging that I'm like, how come this is engaging, but watching, whatever it is, or actually doing it in real life isn't. But I think the difference is that in Game of Thrones, it's usually a life or death scenario or something crazy. It's just that, a lot of the conversations that I had with my friends felt like they didn't matter. And again, it's not their fault, but if I had a conversation that genuinely felt like it mattered, then, the odds were much better that I was going to actually enjoy that conversation. But it didn't seem to ever happen very much. Or not enough. Not enough for me to justify going out every weekend. Which I don't know. It feels like a weird thing to say, but and when I say friends, I'm talking about like everyone that I knew. Pretty much everybody that I knew was all friends with each other when I was in college. So when I say friends, I'm talking about like a large group of people. Every once in a while, I would have conversations that were genuinely very engaging. Usually because, I guess, looking back on it, I guess it was just because those conversations mattered somehow. To something bigger than just the two of us. This is starting to get kind of frustrating. I can dodge through. Oh, no, he hit me. I'm in kind of a grumpy mood today. I don't know why. Probably because I keep fighting this stupid thing over and over again and it's not working. He told me to use a bow and arrow, but I don't know how. I think my game is actually glitched, because I tried to use the bow and arrow on the moth boss and it didn't work. So I think my game might actually be glitched. I'm gonna die. I'm tired of this, man. Streaming Dark Souls is really not that much fun for me. Like, even though I'm trying to pay attention, it's really not. I can't do two things at once. It's too difficult. Okay, what time is it? I'm literally basically just here because my dad is watching Lost and I was tired of watching Lost, so I was like, I guess I'll stream. I can stream. But now I'm kind of bored and I kind of want to stop. Incoming spam. I wonder if Tylenol makes you feel bad. Usually it makes me feel pretty calm and relaxed. Maybe it's because I had pizza for dinner. Maybe that's why I don't feel great. Which probably means I just need more pizza. Sorry, I'm reading. So, what have we learned? What did we learn today? We learned that, first of all, this water is the wrong color. Oh. It's Coke water. Or Dr. Pepper water. But I spent years doing things with my friends that I was not that interested in, just because people told me to. And I thought, this is good for my mental health, so I don't know what else to do, so I'm just going to go out and do this. And so often I was just... It took me way too long to decide I wasn't going to do that anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what to do now. I would say that my days of doing that kind of thing are probably over. I'm kind of a hermit now, but I don't necessarily want to be forever. I just don't really know what it is that I would leave the house for. It would have to be something that I would be genuinely, engaged in, if it were to happen. Rather than going with people to a baseball game. Or let's go to the ice cream place and get ice cream and sit there and talk about the ice cream for a while, or whatever it is. And that stuff is, it's not horrible necessarily, but it just doesn't do it for me. I like eating things, but eating things and then sitting around and talking about it, not so much. Going to a chain restaurant and waiting on the food and then sitting there and getting hungrier and hungrier, and then you eat the food and then you stick around for an hour after the food is gone and you just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And then you go home and then you talk more, you hang out at the house even more and you talk more. And it's just, I don't like doing that. I don't like that. I don't like doing that at all. Why do people do that? It's terrible. It's a terrible way to spend an evening. So I'm not going to do it anymore. And I haven't. I've been out with people and just left. And you know what? Almost every time, they're like low-key kind of shocked. They're like, "Oh, you're leaving already?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Ice cream's gone, I'm going home. It's just like... And sometimes you kind of get trapped, because you don't want to be rude either. But the moment that I start feeling like, a little bit restless, I usually bounce, like, immediately. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to hang out with people and just sit around and shoot the you-know-what for hours. Unless it's fun. Sometimes it's fun. But most of the time, not really. Sometimes I do genuinely enjoy it, but most of the time I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go take a nap. Like, to me, that should be the end-all, be-all of whether or not I'm enjoying something. Would I rather be taking a nap right now? If the answer is yes, then I'm going to go take a nap. And I don't even really take naps, but I'm thinking of that because I feel like I want to take a nap right now, is why I'm thinking of that. So I'm probably gonna here in a few minutes. And that you should too. If you're out with your friends and the table's a little bit too sticky and the nuggets are a little too cold or whatever it is, it's a little too noisy, you're not having as much fun as you wish you were having, you would rather be at home or you'd rather go take a nap, just do it. Just go take a nap. If your friends are offended, screw them. They don't matter. Just go home and take a nap. Then after the nap is over, maybe you can text them or something. And that's how I live my life now. And you know what? My life is better for it. My life is better since I decided to start taking my feelings seriously, which I didn't before. And it's gotten better. Somewhat. It feels better. Even though, you're like, what? You're a loser, you stay at home with your parents all the time, and you don't have a job, and you don't do this, and you don't do that. It's like, you know what? But I feel better than I did when I was in college. So that is pretty motivating to, not go back to college. And if I did, I would do it very differently than I do now. I probably wouldn't spend any time hanging out with anyone. I would just go to class, maybe not even do that. If I could get away with not going to class at all, I probably wouldn't even go to class. I'd probably just, do all the homework at once, and then who knows what else after that. Go to work, probably. And you can talk to people at work. If you need human interaction, you can talk to your coworkers. You know what? That's good enough. Even if you don't like your coworkers, you can usually find something. You can usually find something to bond over, even if you hate the person. Get them to talk about, if they're a terrible person, get them to talk about how terrible they are, or whatever. Even if just to take notes and be like, wow, this person's really horrible. It's incredible. It's amazing. You can do that. Try to enjoy your life. It can be tough because sometimes you don't enjoy stuff and people tell you should. People told me for years, you should be enjoying, going out with your buddies. And I'm like, it's not working. But that's the reason why I think people drink. Genuinely. I think that's the reason why people drink. I think they do it because going out with your buddies would be absolutely miserable otherwise. So, and I can attest that it is. Anyway, after that uplifting story, that should be uplifting though. Like that should be. I mean, even though it sounds like not uplifting, it should be. That's it's a nugget of life wisdom for you. If you go out with especially if you're like a teenager or something like that, like in high school or middle school, if you find yourself like going out with your little teenage friends and you're just like not really having a good time, don't do that anymore. Unless you're anxious, because there's a difference between not enjoying yourself because you're anxious and not enjoying yourself because it's boring. If you're anxious, the more that you do it, the less anxious you'll be, and the more that you'll start to kind of enjoy it, maybe. But once the anxiety wears off and it just becomes boring at that point, just don't do it anymore. A lot of people say that, hanging out with your friends shouldn't be, boring. But sometimes it just is. So it's like, well, it doesn't mean that you dump those friends necessarily either. It just means that you have to kind of settle into a new normal and maybe more sporadic contact with those people, because I still keep in touch with some people, and the sporadic contact that I do have is enjoyable. Otherwise, I wouldn't talk to them at all. So I talk to them just as much as I need to in order to feel satisfied. And then once I'm satisfied, usually any more beyond that starts to feel kind of mundane. And so it's like, okay, I don't need to talk to you nonstop, which was a mistake that I made for years. Was thinking that I needed to talk to people nonstop in order to be a good friend, which it's not true. Anyway, see you guys later.